All right, so for lesson 7.0C, we're going to be talking about 1/8 of an inch measurements. We're going to start here on slide 7. All right, so when we are measuring on a ruler, you can measure to the nearest whole inch, which would be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, on up to 12 on a ruler. You know, on the other side of a ruler, you have centimeters. So pay attention to whether or not you're on the inch side or the centimeter side. But for today's lesson, we are going to be working with the inch side. So you can have your full measurements. Now, the next smallest measurement is your half. And that's going to be that bigger line halfway in between each whole number. Okay, that's your half. Well, I can do a half of a half, and that's 1/2 times a half. Half of a half equals 1/4. Okay. So 1/4 would be halfway in between my whole number and the halfway mark. So a fourth would be right there. Okay. Now I can do half of a fourth, which would be a fourth times 1/2, and that equals 1/8. And so halfway in between the fourth and the whole number is your eighth, and that's going to be that mark right there. So it's going to be every other line, because this would be 1/8, and then 2/8, 3/8, and then 4/8, and on and on. And so we're going to add eighths as we go. Okay, so I want to show you that. So right here, so it says, what is this worth? Okay, so as I look here, I can see here's my whole. This is my half, and I can even put that on if I want. This would be, so this would be 1/4, 2/4. This would be 3/4. So how many eighths is this? Okay, that's what we're really trying to think. Well, if I want to put this 3/4 into eighths, 3/4. If I want to make that into eighths, I'm going to multiply times 2. Do that on top and bottom, and I get 6/8. So this 3/4 right here is 6/8. So this one right here is 5/8. Okay, here's 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, 4/8, 5/8. It's every other line is your 1/8, starting with that second line right here, okay, after the 0. So our objective today is we're going to be measuring to the nearest quarter inch, which that's your 1/4 of an inch. And then we're also going to be looking at your 1/8 of an inch. Okay, so let's take a look here at this right here. This is an enlarged inch. So obviously an inch is much, much, much smaller than from the 0 to 1, right? This is enlarged, but it gives you a chance to really see the values. So that first bigger line after the 0 is your 1/8. And then every other bigger line is going to be another eighth. 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, 4/8, 5/8, 6/8, 7/8, 8/8, which is the same as your whole. You can also do fourths. 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, 4/4, which again is your whole. And you can do halves. 1/2, 2/2, and that's your whole. So we know that some of those are equal, so you got to pay attention to that. Okay. So again, this is showing the eighths. 1/8, and skip a line after every one, and it's going to be another eighth. So let's look down here. So on this ruler, you're going to have some skills for you to do where you're drawing out to the eighth. And so if we were going to move each item to the ruler and measure it to the nearest 1/8 of an inch, and then it says to drag then drag the item to the correct measurement. Okay, so move each item to the ruler. So if I'm going to do that, I have to make sure that it is lined up exactly with that 0. Right now it's past the 0, right? So I need to make sure that it's lined up with that 0 mark. Right about there. Okay, so it starts at the 0, and then when I go all the way down here to my pencil, here's 4, so it's going to be in between the 4 and the 5 because the pencil is not to the 5 yet. So here's 4 and 1/8, 2/8, 3/8. So let's see. Oh, 1/8. This is a half, so that would be the same as 4/8. So this right here is 5/8. I counted wrong the first time. So this is 4/8 right here. Okay. 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, 4/8. These are already broken into eighths. And then my 5/8. Okay. So if I was going to look at my glue stick, it's 2 and 4/8. So here's my 2. So this glue stick is in between 2 and 3 inches. So here is my 4/8 right there if it's lined up to that 0. And then if I'm looking at my key, it's 1 and 1/8. And so as I'm looking here, it's lined up to the 0. Here's 1. It's in between the 1 and the 2. So here's going to be 4 and 1/8. These seem a little off. But right here, I can always look at my half spot right here, and I know that that's going to be my 4/8. This would be 6/8 then. This would be 2/8, so that's my 4th. So right now, looking like it does, it actually looks like it's in between. I think this is the scale is off a little bit with these pictures. And that would be, if we wanted to make that match, we would want the 1/8 right here. If we wanted to make this match, we would want to make that just a smidge smaller. Okay, so you can also, on here, if you're drawing, you can make them match to that 5/8, 4/8, so 5/8. We need to be a little bit smaller. Whoa, need to be a little bit smaller than that. Now that would be a 5/8 right there, okay? So one really good strategy is to look at that halfway point and know that that's your 4/8. And then 2 lines ahead of that would be 6/8. 2 lines behind that would be 2/8. And then you can kind of measure from there. Because in between 1 inch, you've got 8/8, right? 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, 4/8, 5/8, 6/8, 7/8, and then you start your new inch. And it's like that in between every set of whole numbers.